There's a danger lurking on the shelves of the world's bookstores. You might have passed it before without even knowing. Maybe when you wandered idly past the section that your bookstore might have labeled personal development, health, or if they're a little more honest, self-help. We're not here to judge. We've all glanced. Whether it's the classic fluff like How to Win Friends and Influence People, books reframing millennia-old Buddhist teachings, or the military notes of long-dead generals and emperors as advice that will let you conquer the boardroom and the bedroom. If you're a little more adventurous, you might find books telling you how the secrets of crystals, fad diets, and tarot cards will turn you into a being on a higher level of vibrational frequency than the rest of us mere mortals. With all these, the most you'll generally lose is a little money and time. Only a little book called Star Signals might actually fulfill its promise of changing your life forever. Just not in the way you bargained for. That's why we at the SCP Foundation call it SCP-1425. Before we proceed, it's only responsible for us to warn you that we'll be sharing multiple real excerpts of the book in this video. If you've scored particularly low on memetic resistance tests, you need to approach with extreme focus to make sure that no dangerous memes penetrate your psyche and begin to propagate. We've used memetic cleansing techniques to hopefully take the bite out of the various memetic triggers presented in the original text. But that's the thing about powerful ideas, especially insidious ones. They have a certain way of slipping through the cracks and sticking around long after we want them gone. The Foundation endeavored to destroy all copies after the disastrous incidents that occurred not long after the initial 2005 print run of Star Signals. However, it's not uncommon for stray copies to show up in book and thrift stores across the globe. The blurb on the text on the back reads, "Did you know that some stars in the sky are dead, but we still see their ancient image?" With the best-selling novel Star Signals, sold in 4 countries and translated into hundreds of languages, you too can tune into the celestial frequencies and then become like the stars. What follows in the book's pages won't be entirely new to any pursuers of both self-help media or individuals with a penchant for the metaphysical. Babble that mixes culturally appropriated ideas, pseudo-scientific nonsense, and an obsession with astrological adjacent ideas. The one difference between Star Signals and other books of its ilk is that it actually works. Well, in a sense, it uses supernatural reality warping abilities to achieve your personal goals. Though if your personal goal is to be entertained and informed about the fascinating exploits of the SCP Foundation, you don't really need a reality warping self-help book to actualize your goals. You just need to hit subscribe and turn on notifications here at SCP Explained, where we'll never stop serving up entertaining videos explaining the unexplainable and having a good time doing it. In the long term, if you decide to get deep into Star Signals, you won't be having such a good time. In essence, the book recommends a series of rituals centered around focus, repeated action, and repeated vocalization. In line with the goals of the enigmatic group known as the Fifth Church, they are practitioners of memetic ideology known as Fifism. Some of the most pertinent Fifist beliefs are all on display in Star Signals, from their obsession with stars to their focus on the sacred numerological resonance of the number 5, reflected in their 5-step star signal method. This method consists of a mix of so-called star focusing and wishful thinking sessions, which the book provides exhaustive instructions on how to execute them. And if you do execute the steps exactly as they've been written, you will begin to achieve your dreams. The question of whether those dreams are still in fact yours will be a question we'll have to approach later. If you want to win the lottery, a winning ticket will be drawn to you. If you want that promotion at work, your boss will begin to take a shine to you. If you've always wanted to write a novel, publishers will start getting in touch. You might even find a fully written manuscript saved on your computer, one you don't remember writing. In typical metaphysical self-help style, you'll find plenty of strange, flowery jargon in the book's pages as it teaches you to set your intention and focus deeply on a star that has a matching phenomenological frequency to your own mind. This is determined through forming a birth chart using information given to you relatively early on in the book. As you work through the book's 10 chapters, you'll be given different star-focused rituals to conduct. Some are simple focusing meditations. some with repeated fifthist mantras that are supposed to improve attunement. You might be so impressed with the results as the book progresses that you don't even notice how strange the prose or the instructions are getting. After all, why dispute a process that clearly works, right? The proof is always in the results. You won't even notice that you're being exposed to highly sophisticated mimetic agents and neurolinguistic programming techniques until the exact ideas that the book wants you to internalize are already deep inside your head. By then, you might really be in hot water. 60% of the people who finish the book in its totality develop Ojai syndrome, an extremely dangerous anomalous condition that we're not ready to discuss just yet. First, we need to take a more direct look at what exactly is inside this book, viewing a few key excerpts from our mimetically neutered copy of the book. This anomaly is so virulent in its memes that even as a safe class, approval from 3 high-level members of staff need to be given directly for any researcher to view the content of the book. We hope we're not making a mistake trusting you with all this. An excerpt from Chapter 2, Section 3, The Whole You Exist Around reads, "Do you feel a void in your life? Everyone does, whether they know it or not. Think about it. You can feel it inside you right now. A heavy emptiness in the middle of your chest. It's a reflection of the one in your existence, like particles in quantum entanglement. Do you remember how we talked about quantum entanglement? Nod yes. Yes, you do. Yes, you feel the emptiness. This is good. It's a blank slot waiting for you to fill it up with your deepest desire until your deepest desire is pushing up into your throat. You will gag on your need, and until you do, it is a resonation space for you to build your will like organ music in a cathedral. Hear the music now. This is not a metaphor. If your will is strong enough, there will be music now. Remember now that nothing in this book is a metaphor. An important note for everyone engaging with any material, not just SCP-1425, unless the person is a professional physicist, automatically be wary of anyone who is using the word quantum to describe just about anything. An excerpt from Chapter 5, end of Act 1, Section 4, 2 days reads, "If you have read this book correctly, and you have, tomorrow is the start of the weekend. Savor it. The 5-day work week is an artifact of your world. You'll find out all about that on Monday. During the next 2 days, put this book down. Don't pick it up. Yes, this means 2 days without your star exercises. Yes, this means that for 2 days your will is not going to be with you. Don't even think about it after the end of this sentence. Your will is being used for your good." You can see here that the text of the book is becoming increasingly strange and controlling, and this trend will continue. It makes less of an attempt to hide its overt occult fifthist learnings, as you can see in an excerpt from Chapter 6, The Fifth World, Section 2, The Fifth Reason. "In your current society, you are encouraged to be yourself, as if this is a key to making your desires real. What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. You can't be anyone other than yourself. If you were to be someone else, you would still be you, and you would be someone who is someone else. There is no getting out from under existence. Because you can't be anyone else, it stands to reason that if you want change in your reality, it is the world that must change to suit you. You must mold your phenomenological landscape into one where all your goals are achieved. Now imagine that the place where your desires are made real has a name. It's called the Fifth World. The Fifth World is the cosmos twisted around you into the shape you will wish for. It has never been, but you can make it so. If the current world is like a tight collared suit, then the Fifth World is like a flowing robe that allows complete freedom of movement. You will never truly move before you move in the Fifth World. You will feel like a square on a piece of paper who was only just tialo about up and down. And by the time the book is over, the text is clearly deranged in a way that would be immediately noticed by someone who wasn't already indoctrinated. As you'll see from this excerpt from Chapter 9, Do Not Look Away from the Book, Section 3, Here and Now, some helpful advice that will save you in your coming week. Mirrors are for other people. Sit in a dark room by yourself for at least an hour per day. Move around as much as you're made to. If you feel yourself developing a soul, Go outside immediately and follow the direction of the smoke until you meet them. Always listen for the sound slan of Tralrao Pilmingtiae. Love the Archons. When you hate them, they see you. There's an alternate version of events on some other timeline where the book blended into the endless haze of flavor of the month self-help chaff, but that's not the world we live in. Back in 2005, Star Signals was buoyed to immediate bestseller status by the endorsement of several high-profile celebrities who swore by the efficacy of the book's teachings. When the book's popularity reached its peak, that's when the situation truly escalated. On the first day of the book's second printing, it began shipping and simultaneously across both the British Isles and the United States, where a steady stream of interest began to grow. On day 8, its popularity skyrocketed when the book was featured on the reading circle of a certain extremely popular talk show host. She sang the book's praises to high heaven, saying it rocked her world and that you'll see the changes in your own life almost instantly. On day 12, the book appeared to be connected to a rash of severe mental breakdowns across the southeastern United States, starting in Ojai, California. A family of 3, the Boyer family, began speaking in strange nonsense and experiencing violent delusions. They were all arrested and committed to a mental health care facility, where they began attacking strangers on the street with knives, seemingly with no motive other than making them perfectly repeat the same strings of nonsense words they were saying on pain of torture, spreading the message in the most aggressive way possible. On day 13, the Foundation discovered the official connection between the Boyers and Star Signals, information about which had seemingly been suppressed directly by the Fifth Church in an effort to hide some of their more extreme and out-there views from the public, at least until they forked up $20 for the hardback edition. On day 14, the Foundation confirmed the extremely potent cognito-hazardous content of Star Signals. They drew a connection between that and the outbreaks of Ojai syndrome that had exploded across the nation. There were violent outbursts from people who'd read the book, and whose desire to shift reality from whatever petty desire they coveted had seemingly come at the cost of their sanity and personhood, following the same smoke and worshipping the same archons mentioned in the book itself. And things were still getting worse. On day 15, the Foundation and a number of classified collaborating organizations began mounting a joint effort dubbed Protocol Officius. The intent was to track down, contain, and destroy as many copies of Star Signals as possible before things could escalate further, and of course, ending the publication run immediately. On day 16, the Foundation had a small breakthrough in realizing that Class B amnestics could be effective in treating Ojai syndrome, given that it essentially made people forget about reading the contents of the book. This gave at least some ray of hope in halting the horrific damage that was already done. By day 17, the efforts were already proving to be a moderate success, with hundreds of thousands of units of the book being confiscated and many people being successfully treated for Ojai syndrome with the approved amnestics. However, to some degree, the effort still felt like a game of whack-a-mole. The project needed to intercept more and more attempts at high-profile celebrity broadcasts that wanted to sing the book's praises. By day 18, the Foundation was forced to go door-to-door in some areas of the US, claiming that the books were infected with ricin, and in some cases needing to physically restrain people infected by the Star Signals meme in order to take their copy of the book away. A new sect, the Southern Fiftists, was beginning to form out of all the people enraptured by the book who hadn't gone violently insane in the course of using it to pervert reality. The Foundation also needed to intervene on the behalf of several world leaders that had been compromised by substantial Fifist influence. By day 19, as the severity of Foundation methods to end the threats rose, so too seemingly did the efforts of the threats themselves. Hundreds of Ojai sufferers took to the streets, seemingly following smoke as the book told them to. This took thousands of Foundation agents worldwide to corral them and prevent any outbreaks of mass violence. By day 20, the Foundation seemed to have gotten things under control, cured many of the Ojai sufferers, and encouraged at least 20 of the celebrities who'd given endorsements of the book to make public apologies for their behavior. Memories of everything that happened over this fraught and embarrassing period were effectively erased from the psychosphere, and from that point on, everything was fine, and the Foundation designated the Fifth Church one of its many groups of interest, which they hoped to dissolve entirely. At least, that's how things looked anyway. If you have level 3 clearance or above, you have the opportunity to know the truth. enshrined in a private memo from J. Ehrenmeyer, head of the Foundation's Esoteric Information Division, or EID. If you're learning of Event 1425 for the first time, the details reported here may come as a surprise. It's a hard notion to swallow, even for a Foundation researcher, that we could cut 3 weeks of Western culture from memory and history. That doubt is justified. The party line is that the SCP Foundation is all capable and all prepared. But if you're reading this, you've earned a little candor. The incontrovertible fact of Event 1425 is that we got lucky. Circumstances won the day for a number of reasons. Those reasons are not listed in the event log. Not all omissions leave helpful little notes behind. 1. The situation was much more worse than we realized. In case you haven't been here long enough to learn to read between the lines, this wasn't just a containment breach. One reality-warping, memetically active fantasy book outside of custody is a containment breach. 1 million such objects in uncontained circulation. Well, the official term is impending CK-class reality restructuring event. And they would have gotten away with it too, as I'm about to explain. 2. The cleanup in England was a fiasco. The eradication of SCP-1425 from Great Britain failed substantially, and we didn't realize it until it was nearly too late. On Sunday, a day after the officially marked end date of the event, there was an existential shift during a royal parade, when thousands of loyal subjects were together on the streets. From 11 o'clock to 11:45, London looked, to anyone paying attention, like it had been dismembered and sewn back together with a Glasgow smile and things wriggling under the skin. Even I will not describe what they did to the Queen. Nobody remembers it, of course, and the only camera that captured it was an old Betamax camcorder. Yes, we have the tape. It's a taste of what would have happened if we had not acted quickly or effectively, or if we hadn't been assisted. 3. We had help. We had a lot of it. For one, the Fifth Church was covering up its own actions for us, especially once its focus shifted from remaking the world to damage control and PR integrity. We don't know how they managed to keep basically everyone from discussing the actual contents of SCP-1425, chalk it up to mind control, nor how they kept the memories out of the heads of any eyewitnesses, including studio audiences, chalk it up to reality bending, I suppose. But their secrecy did half of our work for us. Well, at least the Fifth helped, even if it was for purely selfish reputational reasons. While some of the damage caused by star signals is irreparable, we can at least take solace in the fact that the beautiful Fifth Church is stronger than ever. Our members grow. Our enlightenment feeds the great archons, servants of the cosmic starfish in the ocean of pure thought we call the noosphere. You can take one book out of circulation, but the book is merely a single expression of an idea. And a good idea can never die. Watch the stars, my children. We'll be seeing you again very soon. Still got an appetite for books that can change or sometimes even end your life? You should check out our videos on SCP-1230, A Hero is Born, and SCP-1025, Encyclopedia of Common Diseases, for more.